Okay, call to order the select board meeting of Monday, February 27th. Join me in saying the pledge. The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, warrants. Start with those. I have the general fund warrants dated February 24, 2023, in the amount of $72,352.93. Biggest ticket item on there for $20,000 is the health insurance. Other than that, pretty much regular stuff. Anybody want to make a motion to approve that warrant?
So moved.
Second that.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Brendan has the miscellaneous warrants.
Sure do, Mr. Chair. Capital project reserve warrant. We had a credit card invoice come in that had some charges for the TVs in the conference room and some miscellaneous supplies for AV equipment. So, capital projects reserve, February 27th, 2023, in the amount of $1,937.10. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
The stormwater utility warrant dated February 27th, 2023, in the amount of $8,058.35. 500 of it went to a firm that helps Megan and Dave with GIS. And the remainder, $7,500 and change, went to EIB, which is the firm helping Dave manage the stormwater utility and keep all our projects on track. So I make a motion, we approve that warrant.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I've got a normal looking industrial park warrant. 3 Green Mountain Power invoices for the sewage pump, road lights, and street lights. So it's an industrial park warrant dated February 27th, 2023, in the amount of $789.69. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
You got it, Jack.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I've got 3 payroll warrants, all in February. February 10th, 2023, the amount of $24,172.46. Again, everything looks normal as a non-agency payroll. Next one is February 17th, 2023, the amount of $22,774.20. The final one is February 24th, 2023. This one's in the amount of $40,084.77. Again, that's the one that contains the agency checks that we normally see about once a month. So I make a motion that we approve all 3 payrolls as presented.
Anybody want to second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Minutes, in front of you, you have the minutes from February 6th, February 20th, and February 23rd. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Perfect, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Minutes. Public comment. Anybody want to come up for a public comment? Come on, Stan.
Public comment?
Yeah, you're up.
I've got a couple. And of course, they're about the budget. And looking at the budget and some of the explanation. First of all, I looked at the town organization and I see we're missing in this organization director of operations. Now I go back through the meetings that you people have, and we had a select board meeting on 10/26/22. And at that meeting, you defunded most of the director of operation except for $5,000. And Albans happened to be at the meeting, and he said, well, we need to staff it eventually. The manager is out sick, vacation, we'd have somebody to cover. There was no response from the board that I could see in the minutes of the meeting. The next meeting we talked about this was on 12/5/22, page 1, and just a couple, not even 2 lines. It said, one of the select board members suggested putting 80,000 under salary line as a placeholder to allow new manager to make staff if needed. If needed. That $80,000 with benefits is $122,000. You're asking the voters for $122,000 if needed. Unreasonable, if needed. The data's there, hopefully you guys looked at it. My other one, that's $122,000, this one's only $10,000. But this has to do with the voters, democracy. We're here for the people. The people. Not anybody, but for the people. Okay. This is Sam. We all know Sam, right? Museum. They came before the board in 2019. We were giving them $5,000. They wanted to go to $15,000 for 5 years. We went and asked the voters. The voters approved. So they made the first payment in 2020. So by 2024, that's the 5 years. So 21, we gave them, 20 we gave them 15,000, 21 we gave them 15,000, 22 we gave them 15,000, 22 they came back. And I think it was Brian that made the changes because they wanted to go to 25,000 to match the city. The city would contribute 25,000. So we went to the voters approved it, and they got 25,000 in the year 2023. Now they go back to 15,000. Why did we give them 25,000 in year number 5? Why? No one knows. People voted for 5 years. You ask them for 25,000, they give them 25,000. They did it already. Why did you give them another 25?
I think that was for 5 years, no?
I got the datas here.
Do you have that ballot, Steve, just the way it was written?
What's that?
I don't remember how that ballot article was written. Do you have that? Did you just say one time? Or?
We voted in 2019. When you vote, it goes into the next year, right?
Yep. Like you said, the one from last time, I don't remember the.
I think you had the wrong information when you made your decisions. There they are, take a look at it, I don't need it. But democracy, we go against the people that voted. We tell them, we'll make our own mind up. We don't need to have you people vote on stuff. You'll see there 2023. It's not showing page yet, but it shows that it's booked.
So we're on the St. Albans Museum, right? That's what we're.
That's what we're talking about. What was
So that article,
Why did we do
last
that?
year,
Why did we do that?
Last year you paid them 25,000,
Jack?
2023.
Keep it the same.
Jack, last year, town meeting, March 1st, 2022, Article 6 was for a period of 1 year. It was to add 15,000 to the previously allocated 10,000 for a total of 25. The article was for a 1-year period. It passed. We're talking about democracy and representing the people and exercising the people's will. That vote passed 1,117.
Don't matter, it
Yes,
passed
does.
by one, I don't
Yeah.
care, we paid it, it's a good job. It's good, I'm happy with it.
They came back to us.
I don't care.
Stanley, are you gonna allow anybody to respond to your comment?
There's a lot.
Are you here to make a point, or are you here to have a
I don't
discussion?
wanna listen to you, I'll listen to the select board chair. You're not supposed to be talking unless he allows you to talk.
Mr. Chair,
Just let him talk.
may I,
Like,
Mr.
we
Chair?
can have a civil conversation, or we can't, we'll just shut it down.
Well, I think Mr. Dukas came down here for one reason tonight. He made his point, but now we have folks that are at home watching this meeting that deserve clarity on the topic. We know folks might not be able to make it down to our
We're here
meeting
for the
hall.
people.
You're right, that's what we're here for. We're exercising their will.
Right, and they give you 5 years,
Well, why'd they give us another?
5 years
Didn't
total.
they give us another?
In 2019, it went into effect.
Not 19, that's, you
2018.
you vote on it in 19, but it don't go into effect until fiscal year 20, July 1. Count, count. The first payment, count it.
What does it matter, Stan? They're voting.
You gotta learn to count, you're gonna,
I know how to count.
board members, thank you, I get carried away because it bothers me, the way we run this. But I sat there, I know we get dumped on, it's a thankless job.
But the voters approved it.
Have a
Voted
nice day.
more than- So to add some clarity to that, so we can move on from it, and
Please.
folks can kind of understand where we really are at. We had an article in 2018. It was originally going to be open-ended for $10,000, which was a raise from $5,000 as an annual allocation. Bill Nyan at the time was chair, and off the cuff, he said, well, why don't we make it for a period of 5 years like we do everything else, like the fire department and everything else. And it wasn't clear to me as a museum supporter and I was a future trustee at that point, I'm a past co-president now, that we could get that through without that language. So that's what we took, because we needed the extra 5,000 so much. The museum's lucky to have a capital fund of donations. They've been taking from it every year for the last several years. It's going down, not up. The building's falling into disrepair. It can't be open in the winter because it has no heating or ventilation systems. Its documents were protected by a bunch of strung together homeowner grade dehumidifiers in the basement. They weren't really protected. Our history was exposed to the elements, essentially. So the museum came to us in 2020 and said there's a lot of federal money coming down the pike. And it was before COVID even happened. We voted on it about 2 weeks before the whole world went to hell in a handbasket. And they said, we really could use 25,000. They went to the city and said the same thing, and the city said, well, we'll have a vote for 15,000. The town agreed. It passed, 1,117 to 482. They took that extra 15,000, they leveraged it towards grant opportunities as their local match, their 20% match. They've redone a roof, repointed the front steps. They've got a grant going on right now to put professionally installed dehumidifiers in the basement to protect all of our archives. And they're using the money the way they said they would. So we had a discussion at a budget meeting that Mr. Dukas obviously didn't attend or watch. And we decided that since the voters have more than supported the museum by an over 2-to-1 margin, the last 2 questions that we've asked, that it was within our purview, with their support and quite frankly their mandate, if we want to talk about democracy, to go ahead and make this funding permanent. So we did, and now the museum, instead of having to have a fundraiser every month to pay, a gas bill, they can focus on the future, and that's what they're doing. And if you go to the St. Albans Museum this summer, you'll notice all the good work that this money's doing, and the city's also contributing more than they ever have. So,
Well, I think what I'm not understanding from Mr. Dukas is the bottom line is the voters overwhelmingly approved the extra money.
it said for a total of 1 year, the extra 15,000, the $10,000 that we added that 15,000 to was approved in 2018, went into effect that fiscal year in July. That was for a period of 5 years. That was due to end this year. But we decided, as we can, and we've known before from different issues that a prior select board can't bind a future one. You know, an article can't really bind a future select board. We decided that the community's been very clear, this work with the museum needs to be done. There's unprecedented amounts of federal and state money to fix problems that they have, that they need to go after, and they need to show that they have the money in hand for their 20% local match. And we've done that with the city, and it's working. So if we wanted to, if there was an article out, if Mr. Dukas had petitioned us to put an article on this year's ballot asking for the same 25,000, I have no reason to think that it wouldn't pass by the same, you know, over 2-to-1 margin. So I think we beat that dead horse enough.
Perfect, thank you for the clarification, we're gonna move
Yeah,
forward.
let's move on.
There
Just-
are a couple
just-
people on Zoom though, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention on the, there's some, I don't know, there's some discrepancies on the ones that Mr. Dukas handed me in here. I would, I guess I wish he would have stayed, so I could ask him, but. Okay.
Okay, public comment on Zoom, okay.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wants to, yes, go ahead, unmute, please.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Williamson, and I would like to encourage the select board to engage with the IDEAL program with the state. According to the Office of Racial Equity's Executive Director, Susanna Davis, the state is committed to making Vermont more equitable, but there is a lot of necessary action that uniquely sits with municipalities. IDEAL Vermont is designed to bridge state and local efforts for transformative, structured, and non-performative progress. As a town resident, I want the select board to do this work and to do it well, because doing it poorly can often look worse than not doing it at all. No one on the select board is an expert in issues of diversity, and we need to reach outside for assistance, and the governor has provided us this excellent program to hold our hands through the process, without having to spend extraordinary amounts of time or money. According to Governor Scott, this initiative has many benefits for the state, both from a moral obligation to make sure all are welcome and treated equitably in Vermont, and to build a stronger economy long into the future. A Vermont that welcomes new families and respects and celebrates the differences among current Vermonters. Is critical to making sure that we have safe, healthy, and prosperous future we want for all Vermont towns, cities, and villages. Again, I would like us to consider joining the IDEAL program and being involved with it. I don't think that us setting up a board of citizens without any sort of guidance is going to be all that useful. We've had the checklist that Aaron Creeley worked on last year, and you know, we had Jessica Frost present an organization that would do all this work for us. But here the state is just saying, here, we have all the resources, let's help you to do this work while you're still doing the work of the select board. So I'd really like you to consider it very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Dr. Williamson?
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I guess we can move on.
Okay, in your packet, you had the resolution for a Better Connections grant.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution as presented.
And this grant was for, potentially for $97,000 with like a
Yep.
$75,000 match. $7,500 match from the town for, in the downtown area for sidewalks, stormwater, like,
And a connection up to the city along Lake
Yeah, so it's from the city all the way to the bay.
okay, cool. Okay, Brendan, you made a motion, anybody got a second?
I'll second that.
Perfect, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, town manager report.
Perfect, thank you. My computer says it's not charging, and it's plugged, I mean, that it might die soon, so I apologize to those of you at home. It's plugged in, I have no idea why it's not really acknowledging that it has power. But, so the first item under town manager was a request. I had a resident come in to my office, and asked to change the street name. Joe Rainville bought property on there and bought the property that is now, he's the only property owner on that road. It's a pretty short road, it's not terribly long, but, and so I said, well, you know, it's not very likely we're gonna change your road name. Our ordinance is pretty clear and very strict that you're only supposed to change your road name when it's a matter of safety. This clearly isn't a safety concern, so, I guess, I don't necessarily need a motion, but I wanted to bring it up for discussion to find out if any of you had any questions or, has a different way to look at it, I guess, a different perspective. You're the body that can go and change that decision. I guess at this point, from staff, I would recommend that you not change it based on someone's request, because I fear it could open us up to a lot of other people asking for their road name to be changed. It creates quite a hassle now with GPS and.
It's a matter of resources, right?
Yeah, it's just hard, because now even when we did the E911 changes for legal reasons, it causes a lot of disruption in services, and not just your Amazon packages, but for other things, so I would recommend not.
Yeah, I was just reading the ordinance that you
Yeah.
provide us with, and, I mean, it seems like we're not allowed to unless we were to
That's
change the
correct.
ordinance first, just stating, furthermore, the St. Albans Selectboard may only change the names of the streets, both public and private, within the town when necessary to promote public welfare and safety. So, I mean, unless there's
I
a
don't think
reason,
there's another way
I
to
don't
look
know,
at
I feel like we, if we were to grant a waiver and change it, then we could maybe the town could be held liable for, because we're going against this ordinance, so.
No, I mean, we have the authority to change it, but we don't have the resources even if we do change it. It'll open a Pandora's
I
box.
still see it doesn't
Even if you
promote
got-
public welfare or safety, so.
Right, you're right, so,
Both saying the same thing, I think, so.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he had approached me at an auction one day, asked me about it, and I had no knowledge of it. I said, well, they said, they already told me no, and I said, well, you know, you can try again, but they really don't know much about it.
That's such a.
So there he has his answer.
Is there, Carrie, is there a formal process someone would, like, is there a sheet someone fills out or something?
If
Other
they
than
wanna
just
change the
requesting?
name,
Yeah, I mean, where they would have to say the reason?
I mean, I've asked them to put, what I normally ask is people to put their request in writing. He's done it previously, and, he just said he'd like to change the name. That was the only reason.
All right.
There was no other reason.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess hearing no consensus, or no new information, I'm gonna respond to him that the request was denied. And I can say it was me, I just,
I don't.
Well, wouldn't it,
No, it's not even that we denied it. I mean, the ordinance is pretty straightforward.
it is. And he knows that, I think he's tried every year or so.
You can't get what you don't ask for.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what,
I get it.
he's been on the select board in Georgia, he knows that, so he's like, I'm just gonna try again. And I'm like, I don't think it'll be successful.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we're kind of all on the same page, I don't believe it'll be a surprise. All right, cool. We can move forward. The next item I put on there, just in case anyone was here to talk about the budget and wanted to ask us more in-depth questions about the budget.
He left.
I do love talking about the budget a lot. Nobody has, I do, I'm not, that's not sarcasm. But no one has come forward. So our legally required meeting is next week, where we actually open up the hearing and we've already warned it. And we will go over the articles and questions, answer questions if there are any. Nothing obviously has changed, so. kind of set this-
I'll just, if it's okay, without going into any detail, just to mention, I know that, I've written a letter out to Front Porch Forum trying to detail it. I think Brendan has as well with the messenger. I think we've spoken about it, at Northwest Access on both both the candidate debate, and Jonathan and I appeared last week and spoke about it in great detail too. So just in case someone wants to get some more information prior to our meeting next week, it's out there with detail about what exactly is being increased, so just leave it there.
Okay.
I think that what, reading the messenger, they've gone through and detailed everybody's budget, and it looks like we're right in the
line.
ballpark with every other town in this county and in the state, basically, if you look around. We went over it pretty carefully, and did what we could without cutting any services, so.
So the total increase is 977,000 change, factor in the difference in the fund balance. 550,000 of that was totally outside of our control. About another 200, almost $250,000 was all salary and health insurance related. I mean, if you follow the regulatory system, Blue Cross Blue Shield was awarded, I think, a 13+% increase this year, and that impacts us heavily. We're insuring a lot of families here. We've got over 20 paid employees now, and every time you have a double-digit health insurance increase, it's going to punch us right in the tax rate. So again, over half of it was totally out of our control, and the other half, we'd be losing people left and right if we tried to cut it. So really, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 worth of decision points, like adding $25,000 to the St. Albans Recreation Reimbursement Program that's working really well for our community and its kids and its families. Increasing nonprofit allocations by $8,000 total. Those are the decisions that we get to make that impact the budget, and they're all really small potatoes that do a lot of good for the community. So I think we did what we could. There were several budget meetings. Several, and we worked really hard. Our department heads worked really hard with the town manager to try to keep this as light as possible. But, I gotta say, I'm really proud of this board for arriving at the decisions it's arrived at and then not hiding from them. We're raising taxes by $1 million almost this next fiscal year, and we are telling everyone about it. And that's good governance. And anyone who feels differently, I wouldn't vote for him to sit on a board like this. So, thanks guys for being open about it, being willing to talk about it. And if anyone's at home and watches this before town meeting, if you haven't filled out your ballot yet and you have questions, Carrie Johnson, town manager, 524-7589, extension 5. Seat.johnson@stalbanstown.com. STALBANS town.TOWN.com. Answer any question you have.
Sorry. Can't get that email? I did. Zach's.
Thanks, guys. Perfect.
It's on the website. My email and our phone number is on the website.
And if anybody's watching this on local access and doesn't have access to a printer or Excel, we can get you a paper copy here at Town Hall and get you a whole copy of the town report.
Right, they have, our town reports are here too. Obviously in the lobby and anywhere else, so. Perfect. Any other highlights? Okay. The third thing on here was a personnel policy draft. So I made the changes. I had a file of a bunch of different changes we discussed off and on in the fall. My goal here tonight is for you to review it and get back to me with some consensus tonight, hopefully, so that then I can send it to legal. The changes came in part from Jill Muir, who's a VLCT employee, a personnel HR specialist. So that's what some of that stuff that looks a little benign, that came from her. She just said, if you're gonna redo your policy, you should change those things.
I think, we've talked about it here a couple times. I think we need to look into getting a part-time HR person, maybe that works with some other towns or the city. We need to.
Well, I look at like this, the stormwater utility warrant has that firm that's helping run the stormwater utility. I wonder if there's an HR firm that works with several public-private entities that could just help be a service. Jen is our resident HR person right now. She handles the best of my knowledge, all of our onboarding, all of our employee orientations. If there are any updates that need to be done for insurance purposes, Jen's the one that tracks them down. She's got a full plate of work in front of her, just helping Carrie keep all her projects on task, so if we could free up that part of her time with some kind of a cost sharing initiative or hiring a consulting firm that costs less than adding a full FTE.
I mean,
That'll save us a lot of money.
Even one day a week would probably carry the load, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to explore a little more what you think we need that person to do. So, you know, the first thing I do when we start talking about job description, you know, like what task do we expect that person to do? So this, if we're gonna hire a consultant, we need a very clear scope of work. It's the cord. The cord is broken. Apparently just decided to give its last life for that, so we have no more Zoom.
But I'm sending to you, so it doesn't affect me.
Well, you're still taping it though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so then I guess no more virtual access.
So do we maybe explore that a little in the coming months?
We can find out what,
And see what's out there for firms that do it?
I know, like, I would start with, Liz Gamache has a connection as an HR consultant. I don't know if she works on projects or if she has regular customers and handles actual institutional HR work. But I know that we use them at the museum, I think. I think during our time in the museum, Al, I think we used that consultant for something related to updating an offer letter,
I don't remember.
but
But there are, there's Cope Associates and there's Gallagher Flynn that I can think of just right off the top of my head.
well, we can discuss what you want them to do. What are we gonna have that person do? I don't know. We've got 3 job openings right now. I'm working on another one, so this is gonna just get in line. There's a lot of other things you've asked, to do this spring, so I wanna make sure we're all on the same.
Well, we don't want you to have any downtime.
No, I haven't had any yet,
Okay.
but, so right now we are, advertising for the admin person for DPW and Park and Rec. We are just closed out the ones for we had 1 spot open at DPW, and we also had a stormwater consultant that was out. Dave and Megan are handling a lot of that though, so. And then we had 1 other position that I was researching. So it's a great idea, you've talked about it before, I'm just not quite sure how much budget we need for that. That's where it all stems from, right? If it's one day a month might be enough.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We seem to talk about it every time we get into an HR thing.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it off and on for a number of months because we were gonna do this rerun, right?
Right.
And correct some things that, we haven't looked at it since 2018. So I'm sure like almost your entire select board term, we've talked about it. We don't normally talk about it every month. though.
Oh, okay. You newbie.
Question,
Well, just a comment that
Comment.
HR is pretty closely related to finance, and if you were talking earlier about finance, you might wait until that person is hired. If you go forward with that person, hiring that person, then let that person and Carrie and you then define what you want from HR.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Even finance.
You wanna expand on that?
Full-time. There you
why
go.
we left that $80,000.
Right.
I don't really have the bandwidth for that tonight. Like, I don't need somebody to come,
I mean, and some of the stuff we talked about in personnel is certainly an allowed topic in executive session, so I'm not quite sure what Mr. Dugas was questioning, but, we talk about job descriptions or performance and salary. We don't always start that conversation in a public meeting. We're allowed to talk about it privately.
I think the draft, though, to get back to the actual draft, I think you included everything we needed included.
Okay, yeah, let's, right.
Yeah, so item C, which was what we started with.
Yep, exactly, personnel policy.
I think that's fine.
I added a lot, so if there's consensus, yes, I will send it to legal, because I'd like to get,
Conflict of interest will live separately in its own policy.
it already has, we've already approved
Yeah,
it.
we already did that, yeah.
Yep.
Just jogging my memory.
But that's why it's a little bit shorter, because that whole section, I think it was section 7 or something, is gone, because we have a separate policy. And that was,
That's good.
that was the first, recommendation to us. Town hall update, I just wanted to give, obviously we just had our our ribbon cutting, it was awesome, we had quite a few people here. But there were some other things I was hitting on to get the project finally done. Like I just took the final full set and the drawings from Rachel and Jason at DEW. What you saw in your notes, what people might not be aware of, is I finally got the wetland permit so that we could use that temporary path, it was originally temporary, from the parking lot here to the old DPW garage property, because we're gonna formalize that a little bit more. We wanna use that for overflow parking, it's a short jaunt from that to this place, and when we formalize it, we'll obviously have to keep it plowed off, so people can walk from here to there. So we did that. Once we got the wetland permit, I worked with zoning to get the path allowed as a permanent installation. Dave's gonna work on some plans just to make sure we have the right base over there, because we're gonna have to dig up a little bit near the road, Wharf Street, because wetlands wanted us to remove some of the fill. There's historical fill, they call it, right in that area that allows maybe 2 or 3 trucks to park over there. They don't want that there, it's a wetland, we have to remove it. So we're gonna leave the 10-foot path, but everything else is gonna be removed. So while we're removing it, we're gonna make sure the right base is under that path. Yeah, that's kind of it. We're finishing up all the paperwork stuff. And we have the ribbon cutting, so it's a beautiful thing. Any other questions? So the last thing on here, I'm just trying to take the temperature. We had paused our volunteer dinners for a couple of years because of COVID. They were pretty successful. It was started in about, I think 2011, 2010. 12. I didn't start it when I got here in 12. So that was the first one? Okay. So the first one was spring of 2012, and we had one every year until COVID. We got over 100 people to show up, so that was our opportunity to thank you, to thank DRB, PC members, any of our volunteers who work town meeting day. They get a little bit of pay, but not everyone is recognizing that we'd like to do it at that time. So my question is, are you still good with it? Because we spent I spent a little bit of money paying for a caterer. Last few years we had it at the Legion. So if you're on board with that, we're gonna need to get going pretty quickly.
I'm on.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
just-
worthwhile.
Shows appreciation.
Yeah, it
to
does.
Everybody.
You
I
don't
love
think
the
it's big enough here? If we
I don't think we could
use
seat,
that part and this part?
I don't think we could seat 100 people,
No.
and we don't have a kitchen nearby. I think it's gonna be really challenging.
You need the bar service, you need,
Yeah.
it's a good way to support the Legion too.
It's not open bar?
No.
Cash bar. We didn't put that in the budget.
Jack just changed his.
Just bring your checkbook, Jack, it'll be
Well, I'm
open
not a
bar.
volunteer anyway.
No, you're
I'm
low-paid
paid
staff.
employee, big time.
All right, so we'll do it. We're planning on, now the next is the date. So we were thinking the last Monday of April.
And I've reached out to the Legion for availability, and I've reached out to a caterer for availability, and I'm waiting to hear back from them.
So we normally have it on a Monday night. We try to have it fairly early. So April, the last Monday in April is the 24th. It probably is school vacation week. I don't know if that interferes with people with kids.
I'll be out myself, but that's,
Can't use the
don't
school.
cancel it for me.
Not usually, because schools, when we've asked them, have projects for when the kids are out, and they don't want us in the kitchen. But we didn't, to be fair, I didn't call them this year. But the Legion is.
The Legion's a good spot.
It's
It-
not
It
very
works really well
expensive.
for what we do. Everyone filters in, the tables are there and gathered, the couch bar's there, just nice.
To rent the room is pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, they don't charge us too much.
I think last time East Gates catered it, and the time before that it was,
Sue
Sue
Leclerc.
Leclerc.
Yeah, we
And they
called.
both know that kitchen front to back.
Correct. It seems like it works pretty well and it's expandable, right, if we get a even better response than previous years, so. And you can bring your spouses, of course. We usually try to have the fire department there, they're volunteers, and those, they're training nights, so we try to get them, to eat first, so that they can go, and devote a meeting, but it's a good fun 2-3 hours, it's usually only a couple, but. All right, so if the 24th works for you, most of you, we'll do that.
Fine.
Okay. Very cool.
Remember, we had Johnny Bluen's retirement party out there. He stormed out because he was not expecting to be honored.
Oh, we didn't take
He
it.
threw his gun out the door, he went chasing quite a ways to get him back here.
No surprises. I'm good. Right, that's fine. I won't go on. All right, so that's all I have. I don't have any other surprises here under town manager. We can move on to schedule.
Okay, thank you. The next select board meeting will be Monday, March 6th, and Monday, March 20th, starting at 6:30. The public informational hearing about the budget and ballot articles is Monday, March 6th, starting at 6:30. And then, so, anybody have any other business? And we decided not to go into executive session. Okay?
Motion
Anybody?
to adjourn?
Second?